Hello, everyone. This is Brenda Miller. I'm your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Basking Ridge, New Jersey. I go live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. and I share what things that I've been working on. And today we are getting a sneak peek from the new holiday catalog that is coming out. It launches next week. Here's the catalog. Here's the cover. Can't show you the inside yet, but if you don't have a copy and you're in the United States, feel free to contact me and I'll make sure that you get one. What we're going to work with today is the Merriest Trees bundle. Now, this bundle consists of the stamp set that has these beautiful elements, and obviously these two go together to give some dimension to your tree. And then check out all the dies that come with it as well. And I'm going to show you a couple of tricks on using them, but we have various tree sizes and parts of the trees. We have a nice giant tag that we can work with, and that makes a great focal point for a card and something to put behind your tree. If you wanted to, check out these. These are little ornaments, and you can stamp the ornaments with these stamps. Let's show it to you here. You stamp 3 at a time, and you can do them in all different colors, and then you can cut out 3 sets at once because you get 3 dies for that. So that is always wonderful. Makes because you want a bunch of ornaments on your trees if you're going to decorate them. So I'm not going to decorate my tree quite that way today, but you can see there are lots of different elements that are here, different stars that could be put on top of the tree. See, we have 4 different ones. So lots of options. These make presents, gifts that you can put on the boxes. They're boxes that can be put under the tree, right? Okay, well, let's go ahead and get to the card that we're going to make today. Now, this card, I don't seem to have a sample, so it'll be a surprise. But this is a card that I made with my 35 for 35 event that I held last week. Sarah Douglas was here, the CEO of Stampin' Up, and we had 5 projects, and this was one of them. So you must know that I'm probably pretty excited about it. I wouldn't use, not going to make an ugly card with Sarah in the building, right? So these are some of the pieces. What I did was I had pre-cut everything, or most everything, for the demonstrators that I had with me that day, so that we could get through as many cards as possible while also being able to spend time with Sarah. So I'm just going to take, this is garden green cardstock, and I'm just going to take my Stampin' Seal and put the white sheet on the inside of my card. I always do that, again, because when the cardstock is dark, I want to make sure that when I write, I want to be able to see what I'm writing. Next, we're going to take 2 of the sheets that are from the Walk in the Forest Designer Series papers. Now you can see this is actually from the same sheet of paper, okay? 2 different size squares from the same sheet of paper, some stripes and some trees. And I just want to mention that the sale of every package of the Walk in the Forest DSP will result in a $3 donation for each pack to Toys for Tots in the United States. So we're very excited about that, and you can be sure you're going to see a lot of this Designer Series paper on the cards that I make, because I want to make sure that we donate as much as possible. So I'm going to, of course I'm at the end of my Stampin' Seal, so on we go to the liquid adhesive. Okay. So let me get this started. I haven't used this one in a while. I only have like 10 of these scattered around my desk. But of course, the one you go to use when you're doing a class is the one that isn't working. But we're going to get there. So I'm just going to, whoops, hang on. There we go. Just have to kind of get it unclogged. A lot of times the little tip dries up. So anyway, so I'm taking, this is a 4x4 square of the Designer Series paper with the trees, and I'm going to put that on the left side of the card, and you'll be able to find all these dimensions and such in the notes underneath the YouTube video and in Facebook Live. I will put that up later today. My blog is not functional at the moment, only because it's being revised. So I'm very excited to share that with you when it comes out, but hopefully that'll happen in the next couple of weeks. Still working on that. Making some big changes there. It's going to look a lot better. And see, I took the stripe piece and I'm adhering it to a mat. The square is 3 by 3 and the mat is actually the square is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I think the green mat is 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to be adding this to the card front with a little bit of space on the side. And you're at a disadvantage because I don't have the card sample in front of me. Not sure why. Always something, right? So I'm putting this on and I'm leaving a little bit of an edge over here, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay. So that's the base of the card, and I'm just going to go ahead and set that aside for now that we've got all our big pieces out of the way. And let's work on some fun. So I'm going to take out a piece of I believe it's 2 1/2 by 4 inches, and I'm going to use the tree. You can see that it's very big. This block is oh boy, can we see that better on here? This is an E block. Yes, this is an E block. So that's one of the next to largest size block. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it up with my old olive ink pad. Now I just re-inked this ink pad, so it's nice and juicy. And even if it wasn't, I would be stamping off. So I'm stamping on here, and then I'm going to pull out. This is a paper piercing mat, and I'm putting this underneath my cardstock so that I can press down, and this is just to give some more even when you're working with the acrylic stamps, sometimes they don't come out as well, but you can see it's kind of faint. Not my best stamping effort. Let's do that one more time. I was talking too much, I think. Let's ink it up. I'm going to stamp off, and then I'm going to stamp onto my piece, and I didn't put the mat underneath, but anyway, you get the idea. So you can see that because I stamped off and the way that I stamped off, it has some gradient. Normally you don't get that. It depends. I'm almost at the desktop here. I probably need to put some more layers underneath my paper. I start out with, it's a pad, so I start out with a whole bunch and then it gets down. Anyway, enough of that. You get the idea. I'm stamping it in a lighter green. Okay, and now I'm taking this is garden green, my garden green ink pad, and I'm inking up the detail stamp. See the detail on that? So when I stamp over this, it lines up fairly nicely, and we get that. Okay, so you get a nice tree, and then we're going to cut that out. Now, this is where the fun comes in. When you cut it out, you see that I went off the edge of the paper here because I knew I didn't want that big of a tree. And what's nice is that you get a choice of what size tree you want to make it. So you have all these different tree dies. Now this is the full tree. I'm trying to get it off of my magnetic sheet that I put it on. So this would be cutting out the full tree. Now I could go ahead and do that, and it would have that line at the bottom, and that's okay, but that's not what I want anyway. What's nice is that for the next size tree, all I have to do is lay down the next size of the tree dies, and you can see there are lines that show you where they go. And when you cut it out, you end up with a tree that looks like this. Okay, you can see I had that gradient going on when I made my sample earlier today, but there is my tree. Okay, so now that we have that, we have our tree. We're going to talk more about the tree in a few minutes, but I have my tree. It's the second largest size, and now I'm going to take my circle. Now this circle was die cut already with the Stylish Shapes dies, and this is the largest circle. And I'm going to stamp using my garden green ink pad. I'm going to stamp the words love and joy. And I'm just putting that, make sure it's good and inky, right up here. Okay, so love and joy. We're going to go ahead and add this to the card front. Now I want the love and joy to be straight. So that's how I'm going to lay that down. And again, I'm just going to use, I'm not using my dimensionals at this point. We could, but I want to put my tree on with dimensionals, and you'll see. Now I'm pushing the circle over a little bit because I want to leave room for the tree over here. Now what some people might say is go ahead, get your tree down and then stamp, but I like to, if I can, do my stamping before I commit to anything. So I'm going to add my tree using some dimensionals. And again, I'm using the edges of my dimensional sheets because in my classes we use up all the little ones and we don't want to waste anything. So there we have that. Great. Okay, so the next thing we have, let me show you this. We're going to add some garland to the tree. Now the garland, you're not going to realize it, but it's this. This, when you put it, lay it down on a piece of basic white cardstock, gets you these lines of garland. And they're different shapes and they're slightly curved. So there are 5 different ones. I'm not going to use all 5, but I thought that was a really cool addition to have that garland because, you know, to be honest, it's a lot when you're trying to add them. Now, what some people might do is you can use regular adhesive and put it on the back. But what I like to do is kind of figure out where I'm going with it. I'm going to use the biggest one. I'm going to be putting it here. I'm just going to put some dabs, very, very small dabs of adhesive, kind of on the arc where I'm going, kind of making sure that I hit all the right places. And then I'm just going to lay it down. And then if I have to scooch it over, I just scooch it. Okay, so here we have one. You can see the garland on there. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's see. Now what you might want to do is actually add the garland before you put it on the card. I didn't think of that today. I've made this card now so many times. I don't know how I forgot, but you know, it is what it is. It still works because I know where I want to put it because I've made it so many times. I kind of get away with that. And then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to go up. And I think that'll be enough. So there are also 2 more pieces that you could use if you wanted to. And of course you could put the adhesive on the back side. Lots of different tricks and tips on how to put adhesive on little teeny tiny pieces. You could of course use the paper that applies adhesive. But I think that would be really difficult to peel off. And I'm just going to let it dry, so I'm not going to touch it too much, but you can see that's where the garland is, right? And if we wanted to, there's some more. I don't know, I don't like to make X's on my trees if I can help it. I guess we could put another one here, but here's the 2 that are left, just so that you can see. All right, so that is our card for today. I did have some gems that I put on the original card, but I forgot to pull them out, so we'll talk about gems another day. But you can make a whole bunch of these cards. You can add different gems anywhere you wanted. You can put ornaments on your tree instead. You can change out the DSP to make it look completely different. Just need 2 coordinating sheets of DSP. So you can do a lot with this card and make them look different. But what I wanted to show you is what it looks like if you cut out all the different shapes of the tree. Remember we talked about, I know it's a little distracting because I've got those trees, the stamped off trees in the background here, but we have the 5 different shapes of trees, right? Big, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere them together just using my adhesive. And obviously they're all exactly the same. Now you could use different shades of green if you wanted to distinguish them better. You could use something on the edges, especially the bottom edges, so that it further distinguishes between the different layers. But you can see if you put them all together, you get this tree. And once it dries, what I would do is, whoops, stuck to my finger up here because it's wet and I'm wet, but you can pull up the edges just the littlest bit, or maybe even before you put them down. And so that way you get a much more dimensional looking tree. Now granted, it takes a little bit of work. You've got to stamp it 5 times. It's 5 pieces of paper. But when you really want to make a point, this is what you want to do. See how that looks? So you've got a little dimension on your tree, and then that can go on your card. You can see a full tree is a little bit too big for this card design. Whoops, there we go. You can see it's a little bit big, but it's just something fun and different that you can do with this set. So thank you, Linda and Rita. I'm glad that you like it. I'm glad that you're here. But just going back one more time, this is the Merriest Trees set. And I'm sorry I'm not on camera. I'm having some technical difficulties on my computer today. Why is it that the days that you are, leave yourself the least amount of time are the days that you end up with technical difficulties? But anyway, this again is a sneak peek from the catalog that is launching on September 6th. And there'll be lots more news. If you subscribe, if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, I have a new newsletter coming out on Friday, the 1st of September, believe it or not. And it will show you my upcoming classes and some different things about the mini catalog, paper share, things like that. And I'd love to have you. So if you have any interest in that, head over to my blog at brendamillersu.com. and it'll bring you to a page where you can subscribe. So anyway, I'm glad that you joined me today, and I hope to see you next time, 3 o'clock on Wednesdays. Thanks so much for joining. Take care. I'm waving. Even though you can't see me, I am waving. Have a great day. Bye-bye.